Okay, it's the last evening of Romford Short Film Festival, here with some filmmakers behind two of the shorts that we've just seen. We just start with yourself here, just introduce yourself and your role in the film and the name of the film, please.
Hi, my name is Keshav, and I wrote and directed and acted in Where Are You Really From?
Hi, I'm Alana. I'm the costume designer from Where Are You Really From?
Hi, I'm Thomas Moore. I'm the co-writer of After All, and I also handle the international distribution.
Hi, I'm Gerard. Tierney. I'm the co-producer of After All.
Okay, thank you all very much for joining us. First question, how did you first get involved with the project? Obviously the writers is an obvious one, but how did the inspiration come to you? And for the non-writers, how did you get involved in the first place? Do you want to go first this one? Yeah.
Yeah, so I work as a doctor as a part-time job, and I get a bit bored thinking and doing the same things again and again. At the time when I was writing this, I was working in a vaccine clinic, and I was just wanting to write something that was really personal to me, and something that would take me out of my job a little bit in the headspace. And I wanted to write something which I felt was vulnerable enough that it looked at myself, or like made me feel vulnerable writing and putting on screen. But I wanted to make it a comedy so that it would be accessible to my audience. So I'm a first generation immigrant. I moved over from India when I was 12, and I have two lives in a way, or like multiple lives in a way, where I use different accents with different people. Okay. So I just wanted to make a comedy about this kind of what your accents mean for you and what it means for your identity. So yeah, that was the inspiration for it.
How long did it take you to write it?
I wrote for a competition initially, so I think the first draft took me about a month. Okay. But then by the time it was shot, I think it was maybe a year later, so 12 months of like redrafting and yeah.
And were you always going to play the role yourself? Did you ever consider not playing it?
Yeah, that was a bit of a challenge because I'd done 2 shorts with my DOP before this, who's excellent. And she said, I'm not working with you if you're going to make this about yourself. And then, so I spent some time looking for an actor, but it was really hard to find an Indian actor who could do, good Indian accents and then British accents, like northern and southern accents and different accents. And then equally you could have like a British, South Asian or British Indian actor, but they weren't very good at their Indian accents. Okay. So then I was like, yeah, okay, I'll try and find a director then. And then took some time to try and find somebody, was quite happy with them, and then actually they were not from the same ethnic background, and they kind of just went, no, I don't think this is for me because I can't really represent the immigrant experience that you were trying to tell. So in the end, I was kind of like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I think I'd written it for myself anyway, and at the back of my head I probably wouldn't have been so happy if someone else played it. I would have probably just ripped it apart. So but the doing both things was the tricky bit, in convincing my team, going back to my DOP and saying, hey look, I've tried to have a bit of a look, but this is what we've got. Unfortunately you've got to work with me for doing both things. But we did a lot of planning, and when I got to set, I just felt at home. I just felt like I was meant to do this. It just felt really, really natural, I think. So, yeah.
And which part of the production did you enjoy the most? The acting or the writing or the direction?
I think all of them were different bits. Actually, I love the post-production bit the most. I love the everything coming together, and I love working with the music composer for the film. All of it has its different things. I think it's exciting and frustrating when you're writing and you don't know if it's ever going to get made. The directing and acting is, both those two things together is a bit of a mental job, but it is so stressful. It is stressful, but equally it's magical as well. But post is when I can actually like relax and just enjoy. Yeah. So.
Alana, when did you get on board with the project? And what appealed to you about it as well?
I read the script and I really loved it because I think it's a topic that isn't really explored very often, accentism. I think at some level we've all experienced it. On kind of from my own perspective, I was born in London, my dad's American, and I grew up half and half, so when I went over to the States, it was like, oh wow, you're English, that's so cool, blah, blah, blah. And so it was like a positive reaction. And then when I moved back from the US and I had an American accent back in the UK, it was quite a negative time in terms of like the attitudes towards the US. So everyone was like, oh my God, that's so uncool. And I dropped the accent straight away. And I think like so many people on the cast and crew had some sort of experience of accentism, whether it's a job interview or where are you really from, or I just thought that's such a kind of potent topic for a script, and I just loved it. So to be able to explore that through costume was really, really fun, because you can explore the kind of different identities and how he's kind of, the main character, Keshav, he's like living a double life. On one side, he's got the kind of uptight suit, and then on the other side, he's wearing his kurta and he's wearing his traditional outfits, and it, I just really loved exploring it and showing that through costume. So yeah, it was a great project to work on.
Very practical question. How do you actually find the costumes?
Well, it was more tricky to find good costumes for the family, the Indian family. So luckily, a lot of them, the actors had beautiful saris and kurtas and stuff, so I asked them, they gave me a few options. I said, this one. But it's difficult when you have like a specific colour you're working with, and you have like, we really wanted to explore kind of grey and quite minimalist and kind of rigid feeling with the costume in the back. And then for the Indian home scene, it's colourful and a bit more relaxed, because that's who he really is. So we wanted to explore that. So it was tricky to find, to source the Indian costumes. But in terms of the suits and things, we really had a very short deadline. So I think I got given like a very small budget, and it was like go, and I just hit all of the charity shops, because I was like, I'm not buying Primark or fast fashion, and we will do it sustainably as well. So we went to the second-hand shops and we found it. It was a challenge, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've got a cast of maybe 14, 15 people there, and the budget was £100.
Yeah, I didn't want to reveal the budget, but it was like supermarket sweep. It was like, you've got a day, go.
I've heard of indie filmmakers buying stuff from shops and keeping the labels in and taking them back.
Oh no,
some people have said
we
that
were not
in
guilty of that,
okay,
actually.
Fine. All right.
But we did keep like some of the stuff. I was like, oh, quite like that. Yeah. I'll keep that.
So Thomas, let's bring you in now. How did the idea for this film come about, and how did you work on writing it?
Well, as you can see from the last frame of the film, it was in loving memory of someone who did actually take their own life. And I was there on the night it occurred with my creative partner Chongyan. And I think the film is, I described it in a Q&A the other day as almost us kind of playing this game of ping pong, where we're kind of dissecting the grief, and the film's very much about loss and memory, and how the way you perceive something changes, as time moves forward. So I think it was kind of very much my primary role was to kind of be this person who could kind of reflect on this, or reflect on something that is quite unimaginable unless you've actually kind of been through it. Because Chongyan was one of the two people, as you see in the beginning kind of monologue, one of the two students who unlocked the door and discovered the body. So for her, it was even more traumatic. And I in the film, I'm kind of manifested through this character called Tara. So that's kind of and that's and it's the conversation, the conversations that's taking place is very much about how we each remember various stages after the event occurred. So this story about the station in Hamburg and Burger King, all of that is real. And that part about Burger King, it's not about getting frustrated because because you have to run for your train, you have to leave your order behind. It's about that, the reason that happened and the reason that reaction occurred was because it was all the catalyst for it was because of that tragedy. So yeah, I'd say I was this kind of this figure who was helping the director through the grieving process, and I think it's been so long now. It's almost just like a story that you tell yourself, but it was a privilege in a way to be involved and to actually bring about something like this. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
Let's bring Gerard in. When did you become involved, and what's your kind of main role in the production as a co-producer?
My main role in the production has been helping provide the money that was not. Let me put it this way: the institution where it was made in France gives every student each year a certain amount of money, and no more. And in the director's estimation, and that of our production manager, there wasn't quite enough. So having met the director, I met by chance, but at a film festival, and learned about the story and got involved in hearing about it, I uttered the fateful words, I could be one of the people who helps you find that gap, fill that gap with the money. So I got involved at that point. I've been involved in various productions over the years and was trying to retire, but obviously I'm not doing a very good job of it. So I got involved and I stuck around. And I'm also very privileged to have worked on it. I got very, very taken in by the project and have stayed involved ever since.
Do you see any of the on-set making, or do you just see it afterwards?
I couldn't attend the filming in Berlin, which is a place I go to quite a lot, essentially, because it was too close to a visit I was due to make to Berlin anyway, which is the Berlin Film Festival. And would you believe, when they were shooting the two actors back in France with a green screen, that was during the Berlin Film Festival. So I didn't make even the token appearance of popping in and saying, "You're all doing very well." I did come to the post-production and to the first screening at the college, and I've stayed involved with it ever since, as I say, which is now a couple of years.
Did anyone have a question from the audience at this point? Pop your hand up for me. Yeah.
What was the trickiest thing during filming of your projects?
What was the trickiest thing? Yeah, or biggest challenge, I guess. Yeah. Keshav, do you want to start?
Yeah. So we had a whole bunch of locations, as you can see in the film, and I think it was just a tight schedule getting all of that in, and because I hadn't acted and directed in the same film before, I think that was probably the most challenging thing in terms of watching takes back. And at a certain point, I just had to say, you know what, I just look at my DOP and be like, do you think we've got it? Like, okay, yeah, let's move on. I think after the first day, it just got easier. I think that was the most challenging thing. We had a little fire on the first day of set for the first shot that we ever did. But besides that, everything was good.
The fire was quite. That was going to be mine. You stole the answer to that, because the fire was making us. It was hilarious. They had the little dias with the lights, the tea lights. What do they put in it? They put
lighter fluid
in it, and then they lit it. And I was upstairs in costume, but I just heard fire, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And they lit it, didn't they? And then it just, instead of being like a small little light, it was like, whoosh, and we were in a location that was someone's house,
but it
was managed to
very smoothly,
perfection. But it was just like, I think it was like the first day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the first day. That was a bit stressful.
And then the lovely Italian production designer, what was he saying? Pin?
Yeah, it was just that was a bit of a challenge, but otherwise everything was good with that.
It was funny.
Thomas, what about for you? What was the biggest challenge? I guess obviously it's as you've already explained, it's quite a hard-hitting film. It's very personal. But was there any parts of the actual writing process that you found challenging, specifically?
Well, it's just it was quite back and forth really. I mean, I would Chong-in did the first outline, and then I kind of edited a lot of the dialogue. So I think it's just about kind of getting that balance, because as I said, we're reflecting on things which are very are still quite raw. It only really happened, I think, about 18 months before or something like that. So I guess the challenge is like dealing with something that's very heavy and kind of asking yourself, are we dealing with this in the right way? Is it delicate enough? Are we going a bit too far in some places, or is it could it be deemed as offensive in some form? Because it's this is something which is it's heavy. So I suppose that was the biggest challenge, but I think the end product is delicate enough, and I think we achieved the right balance. Hopefully the audience feels that as well.
Yeah, very powerful. Gerard, did you find any particular challenges?
Not from my perspective, no. I mean, once I got to, ridiculously easy, but no, once I was negotiating with the with the French production manager, all things that passed reasonably smoothly. I mean, once the film was in post, then I got quite involved with arguing about aspects of it to do with the voice and the language, and it was just being cut down anyway, so I came to appreciate it more and more, and I think to a certain extent I wasn't seeing the wood for the trees, where the expression is. I was looking at all the wrong things. And once I really learned to love it, then I just got completely behind the film and said, go with it, And during the post-production, which was the last part I attended, was a very straightforward process. And there were just minor little things to be tweaked. It was all went very smoothly.
Good to hear. Can you each think of a attribute that is required to perform your role? Something you need to have about yourself to, be a good actor or director or writer or costume designer. What one kind of value would you say you need to have? Do you want to start thinking?
Maybe try and remove your ego as much as you can, I think. Especially when you've written something and then you're hoping to make it into something, you can get really attached. Or maybe it's about detachment, I don't know, one of the two things. But you can get really attached to your idea of something, and then I think it's important to, anytime you've got people or your team that's involved and they're giving you different suggestions with things, I think it's important to, for me anyway, it's important to explore all those different things and maybe go for the thing that overall will give your idea the best legs. And I think that happens, I think, as a director at several stages. So at the writing stage, then, on the shooting stage and the editing stage, everything you've got to kind of think about what's the best thing for the film and get yourself out of the way for it to do a good job. I mean, it's the same as an actor as well. If you're kind of trying to be somebody else on screen, then you really have to get out of the way of letting that character come through. So I think both those things go hand in hand for me.
I think for costume, just to be quite, dynamic and flexible. So you might have a vision, like, you make your mood boards, you have your vision, but when it comes down to like the day and it's like, if it's like pouring with rain or the actor doesn't quite fit, or like the costume, or maybe they're not happy with the costume or whatever it is, you have to be like, right, okay, fine, we'll do this, we'll do that, and have that kind of space and flexibility to just problem solve on the spot, be dynamic and be like, okay, we'll go with this, we'll add a coat to that outfit, and not be too fixed. And I actually find that really hard, because if I have a vision, I want to stick with it, but you have to be to on set. It's just the way it is. Yeah.
Probably say with writing, I mean, like with anything in film, considering it's quite a messy process, probably discipline, perseverance, and the ability to just see things through to the end, because there are a lot of projects that get left unfinished. So just to be able to kind of see it through to the finish line, I'd say that's pretty important.
Optimism, diplomacy, and two that have already been mentioned, flexibility and perseverance.
Great. Right, final question, because we need to get to the awards. What's your next project that you're working on?
So I just finished a short film called Dinner for Loners. It's about loneliness in men and specifically in like the South Asian diaspora. It's about a guy who comes out of a long-term relationship and tries to find friends to fall back on, but he can't. So he recruits his dysfunctional family to throw a dinner for his friends, and actually just falls flat on his face. It's a comedy. I'm writing that as a TV series as well, and I'm hoping to make this into a feature. So yeah, a few things.
I'm also working on Dinner for Loners. Yeah, so I'm double down on that.
Mainly at the moment I'm just distributing other short films, and I do hope to begin writing something soon, but there's nothing like concrete enough for me to talk about, so yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
I'm giving a hand to Thomas in that process of the distribution, but I'm also involved as a consultant mainly on 2 or 3 feature documentaries.
Thank you all very much for coming and for joining us, submitting your film and joining us here to chat about them. 2 fantastic films, but very different, but very, very thought-provoking, very deep, and a lot of ideas, and yeah, beautifully rendered, and yeah, seeing them up there was a privilege. So thank you all very much. Have a round of applause, please, for our filmmakers. Thank you.